Thank you. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And I want to say a very big hello to a place called Wisconsin. Has anyone ever heard of it? I think so. It's great to be back in this magnificent state with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. That's you. 3 months from now, the people of Wisconsin are going to fire your radical Democrat governor, Tony Evers. Tony Evers. He's a real beauty. And you're going to send Tim Michels, an incredible success story, Tim Michels to the governor's mansion, and you're going to re-elect the amazing Ron Johnson, so respected. Great people. And you got others, you know that. We're going to elect an incredible slate of America First Republicans up and down the ballot, and we are going to end crazy Nancy Pelosi. What the hell? What was she doing in Taiwan? Oh, she was China's dream. She gave them an excuse. They've been looking for that excuse she gave her. Everything she touches turns to you-know-what. 2 failed impeachments, remember that? This has been an exceptional week for the America First movement. Exceptional. You probably saw that the Trump-endorsed candidates, Blake Masters easily won nomination for the U.S. Senate in Arizona. Carrie Lake won the nomination for Arizona governor. Tudor Dixon won the nomination for Michigan governor. John Gibbs, great guy, defeated Rhino Congressman Peter Meijer. Peter Meijer, he spells it a little different than other people. He is a little different right now. He's not so different, though, because he lost. This week, we're 45 wins and no losses. Is that good? And in Texas, a few weeks ago, 33-0, and plenty of those candidates were not expected to win. Now we're going up and down, looking at these victories with a massive win on Tuesday right here in a place called Wisconsin. There's somebody right over there. Tim, you better win. You're going to win. Tim Michels, he's going to win. He's going to win. I'm also pleased to announce that just today we chose Milwaukee for the 2024 Republican National Convention. Just look at a big screen. How do I look from behind? Not bad. Not terrible. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Janelle, thank you. You could take the 5 worst presidents in American history and put them together, and they would not have done the damage Joe Biden has done to our country in less than 2 short years. The contrast between the Trump administration's amazing success, and we had amazing success, and Joe Biden's breathtaking failure could not be more stark. Let's take a look at some of the facts. Less than 2 years ago, when I was in office, gasoline for cars, $1.87 a gallon. And now it's $5, $6, $7, and even $8 a gallon. Just hit $8.25 in a place called California, $8.25, and you're going to be following along. We gave you the largest tax cuts and regulation cuts in American history, even larger than the Reagan tax cuts that once held the record. We broke it by a lot. The radical Democrats now intend to impose the biggest tax hike in American history, the exact opposite of what I did. And they are working feverishly to pile on more regulations at levels never seen before. You're going to have regulations like nobody's ever seen before. Mitch McConnell got taken for a ride by Joe Manchin and the group, and the great people of West Virginia, where I won by like 45 points or something, have been seriously hurt by these political antics. Joe Manchin has totally sold out West Virginia. What he's done to that state is disgraceful. And I told the old broken crow, Mitch McConnell, that this was going to happen. I said, it's going to happen to you, Mitch. It's going to happen to you. Under the Trump administration, we had the greatest economy in the history of the world with no inflation, by the way. Biden created the worst inflation in 49 years, minimum 9.1%, but it's much higher than that, and it's going higher. It's costing families nearly $6,000 a year. We created 7 million new jobs, the lowest unemployment. We had the best numbers of any administration ever in our history for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, women, men, young people without college diplomas, without high school diplomas, with PhDs from MIT, Harvard, the Wharton School of Finance. We had everybody covered, everybody covered. We had a record 164 million people working. That's far, far higher than it is today. You know that. We achieved the largest poverty reduction in over 50 years. We lifted 7 million people off food stamps, never happened before. And we lifted 10 million people off of welfare, never happened before. And then we got hit by China with the China virus. And after the pandemic, we handed the radical Democrats the fastest growing economic recovery ever recorded in history, the fastest ever. And they lived off that for a year and a half. Now they've turned that into 2 straight quarters of negative economic growth, also known as a thing called a recession. Let's hope that recession doesn't morph into depression. You know, depression is slightly worse, like by a factor of about 100. And labor force participation is the worst in many, many decades. I rebuilt our military, including our nuclear capability, and hope to God we never have to use it. And the creation of Space Force, first time that's happened since Air Force 79 years ago. They surrendered our strength and our great, great soldiers, what they did in Afghanistan, into the greatest humiliation our country has ever seen. I believe it was the most humiliating period of time. There's never been a humiliation like that for our country. Not the fact that we were leaving, but the way we were leaving. It was a surrender, and there was no reason to surrender. They hadn't killed an American soldier in 18 months. Abdul, don't do it, Abdul. And he didn't do it. 18 months we went, and then we took the military out first. How stupid was that? We created the safest border in U.S. history. We ended catch and release. We deported record numbers of illegal alien gang members. We got them out of our country, and we built hundreds of miles of border wall, brand new, beautiful border wall. In fact, we completely finished our original border wall plan despite 2.5 years of Democrat-inspired lawsuit. They sued us all the time. 2.5 years it took. We won all the lawsuits, and then we completed the wall, and we added much more wall than originally planned and almost got that finished also. Would have been 3 weeks. 3 weeks the job could have been done, but they decided we don't want a wall. We want open borders. Let everybody come in, no matter who they are. Doesn't matter. Our border, just 2 years ago, was the best and safest in U.S. recorded history, and they have turned it into the worst in history by far, maybe for any country, and that includes third world countries. There's never been a country that's allowed people to pour into their country, and it could be the worst managed, the worst countries, third world countries. Nobody's ever had a border like we have. There's never been anything like this. It's a catastrophe. And instead of being proudly energy independent, which we were less than 2 years ago, even energy dominant, the United States is now a beggar for energy. We're begging. Biden and the radical left have turned calm into chaos, competence into incompetence, stability into anarchy, prosperity into poverty, and security into catastrophe. I wonder if Biden could have said that, what I just said, do you think? There would have been an explosion. Then they would have said, oh, he did so well tonight. He did so well. The election was rigged and stolen, and now our country is being systematically destroyed. Last month, the Wisconsin Supreme Court, I give such credit to them, ruled that the widespread use of ballot drop boxes across the state is totally illegal. So you know what that means? That means they were obviously illegal in the 2020 election. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of votes, and we were right there. We won this thing by a lot. We won this state by a lot. Just as I've said all along, the use of these unmanned, unsecured drop boxes was never authorized by the state legislature. By law, it has to be, was never. They never got approval. But partisan radical Democrat officials simply took all those hundreds of thousands of votes. They took them anyway. They just had something happen in Arizona, as you saw. They ran out of ballots, but not for Democrats, for Republicans. They ran out of ballots almost immediately as the election was starting. They said, I'm sorry, we no longer have ballots for Republicans. We only have them. Now, think of this. How did they get away with this one? But Carrie Lake and Blake, they won it. Blake Masters, he's going to be great. They won it anyway. But how would you like to have that? Right at the beginning, I'm sorry, we have no longer, we just don't have, I'm sorry, we have no longer any Republican ballots. Democrats come right ahead. And then they say the elections are honest. We are also like a third world country when it comes to elections. As the Wisconsin Supreme Court said in its decision, if the right to vote is to have any meaning at all, elections must be conducted according to law. Really great. The drop box scam in Wisconsin and other states, many other states, was in addition to the outrageous stealing of votes from the elderly at Wisconsin's nursing homes. You know, that hundreds of thousands of votes. You know, for years, it was a very, very few people voted from a nursing home. But this year, you had almost 100%. You know why? Because Biden inspired them so much. And you know how they found out about it? The sons and daughters of parents were irate. My father was comatose. My father was very ill. My father didn't vote. Oh, yes, he did. No, my father didn't vote. It's a horrible thing that took place. But fortunately, a gentleman, Justice Michael Gableman, put it very strongly in his report. One of the most highly respected people in your state, Justice Gableman, said rampant fraud and abuse occurred statewide, and he went on to excoriate the election and what happened. Where is Michael? Where is he? Michael, stand up, please. Thank you. Michael Gableman took great courage, because a lot of judges and justices didn't have the courage to say what they knew was true. I ran twice, I won twice, did much better the second time than I did the first, getting millions more votes in 2020 than we got in 2016. I was told that if we got the same number, there's no way we could lose. We got millions and millions more votes. And likewise, getting more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country by far. And now we may just have to do it again, right? We may have to do it again and bring our country back. Thank you. Thank you. But first, we have to win a historic victory for the Republican Party. There's some great people in this party. It's going to happen in November. When we retake Congress, among our highest priorities must be to end the nightmare Joe Biden has created on our southern border. Millions and millions and millions of people pouring in unchecked. Nobody knows where they're from. Last week, we had 129 countries represented of people that came into our country illegally. We know nothing about them. We're going to pay a price for many, many years to come. Every day, criminals, murderers, and sexual predators are pouring across our border. Other countries are emptying out their prisons and sending the worst criminals the world has ever known right into the United States. We're like a dumping ground. They're emptying their jails into our country. They don't want them back. They said, let's get them out. Very expensive to keep them. So they're just dumping them right into the United States. They're coming in all different ways, including in the caravans. Just weeks ago, a savage, illegal alien criminal in Pennsylvania, already suspected of 2 prior stabbings, shot an innocent 76-year-old man in the back of the head while the man was out for his morning walk. Earlier this year, a MS-13 gang member, these are the worst of the worst, was sentenced for helping lure a teenage boy to a playground, beating him in the head, and brutally stabbing him 32 times to death. 2 other illegal alien MS-13 gang members in Texas were convicted for raping and murdering a 15-year-old girl in a satanic ritual. We sent MS-13 gang members out by the thousands 2 years ago. We sent them back to their countries or put them in prison. By the thousands. And I want to just thank the great patriots of ICE and the Border Patrol and the police generally. Law enforcement's been incredible in this country. They got to be allowed to do their job. The radical Democrats have turned our country into one giant sanctuary for dangerous criminal aliens. In the Republican Party, we believe our country should be a sanctuary for law-abiding citizens who love America. And if we're going to make America great again, our first task is to make America safe again. No crime. Right here in Milwaukee last year, murders reached an all-time high, and in 2022, homicides are up, listen to this, 38% from 1 year ago. Worst it's ever been. The worst it's ever been. And you can say that about many, almost all, almost every single Democrat-run city in our country. Under a Republican Congress, we should pass emergency funding to hire thousands more police officers, and we will do that, and to put violent criminals behind bars and keep them behind bars. Leave our police alone. Let them do their job. Give them back their respect. They know what to do. We have to allow them to do it. Right? Tim knows. And instead of targeting Republicans, conservatives, Christians, and patriotic parents, the Biden administration should try going in and dismantling the street gangs and vicious criminal cartels that are dominating these Democrat-run cities. And instead of taking guns away from law-abiding Americans, we should try taking them away from the violent felons and career criminals for a change, enforcing existing statutes, they're existing, to get them in jail. Stop and frisk. Let's do it again. If you look at countries throughout the world, the only ones that don't have a drug problem, and they have none whatsoever, are those that institute the death penalty for drug dealers. Sounds tough, but I'm so tired of setting up blue ribbon committees composed of nice people, wonderful people, and they're not going to be successful in dealing with these savages. You know, when I was in China I said to President Xi, I got along with him very well, but once COVID came, we did a great deal, actually, with them, trade deal, helped our farmers, our manufacturers. But I said to President Xi, maybe naively, do you have a drug problem in China? No. He looked at me like, what a stupid question. No, we don't. The drug problem they have is they send drugs to us. That's our problem. But they stopped doing it, very much so. But I said, President, do you have a drug problem? No, we don't. You don't. I said, wow, that's amazing. What do you attribute that to? Quick trial. I said, what's a quick trial? That means a quick trial. It means exactly what it says, quick trial. And they have the death penalty for drug dealers. So drug dealers say, well, let's get the hell out of China. Let's go to the United States or someplace else where nothing happens to us. If we're going to stop this scourge, and this is a big factor for the crime in our country, drugs, it's time to get brutally tough on the dealers, traffickers, and narco-terrorist cartels who are stealing millions and millions of lives, killing people in our country. If you want to make our country safe for violent, I'll tell you what, if you want to make it safe for violent criminals, just vote for the radical Democrats, because they're never going to change. If you want to make them safe for your family, your children, and for law-abiding Americans, you must vote for Republicans. You have to do it. The drug dealers, each drug dealer kills, we're not even talking about destroying and destruction of families and destroying lives, kills approximately 500 people each over a course of his life, his or her life. Think of that, 500 people. Many kill thousands, the bigger ones. Thousands and thousands of people are killed. I believe we lost last year 250,000 people died from illegal drugs coming over our border. And 2 years ago, we had that down to the lowest number in many, many years. We had the wall. I got the Mexicans to give us 28,000 soldiers. They had no choice, otherwise we would have put tariffs all over the place. They said, we would love to give you the soldiers. We would love to. Free of charge, sir. They were great. They were great. I really like the president. He's a socialist, but that's okay. That doesn't make him a bad person. But we have some real bad ones in this country. But it was amazing, the job we did. Our country doesn't win anymore. We don't win with our military, with education, with trade. We don't win with anything. We just don't win. We're going to start winning again, just like we were 2 years ago. Right here in Wisconsin, we have some critically important elections coming up, starting with the primaries this Tuesday, August 9th. Got to get out. You got to vote. You have the opportunity to vote for true conservative warriors, starting with the next governor of Wisconsin, Tim Michels. Now, you have to understand who Tim is, because a lot of times people say, oh, he's a businessman, and he'll own something little, tiny, little thing, and he'll say he's a bit. This guy's big time. In fact, I said, are you sure you want to do this? He builds massive tunnels and infrastructures and bidding like on the Lincoln Tunnel in New York, and he bores through earth, he bores through mountains. He's big stuff. He's one of the biggest employers in the state. And this is where he's based. He's all over the world building these big tunnels that go through incredible granite mountains. I say, how the hell? I was with him. I spent more time talking about that than I did, frankly, politics. I said, you got to tell me about the machines that do it. They cost 35 to 40 million each, but they're incredible. He said, they go through it like butter, sir. And I find it I love construction. I'm sorry. I love construction. But he's big. He's big time is the point. This is big stuff. The biggest in the world at what he does. Tim is a tremendously successful builder and runs the largest construction company in your state. He employs more than 8,000 people here. He's a former Army Ranger, most importantly, a proud America First patriot who is with us right from the beginning. He's been with me for a long time. Introduced by a friend of mine, Diane Hendricks. You know who Diane is? I heard about this woman, Diane. This is 6, 7 years ago. And I heard she was a Trump fan. They said, who the hell is she? She owns some stores. I said, oh, big deal. She owns a store. Thousands of them. I said, who is she? How many stores does she own? Sir, I think about 4,000. 4,000? What the hell is she worth? Billions. Well, naturally, because of that, I became extremely friendly with her. And she also happens to be beautiful, by the way. Now, I don't say that anymore. You know, in the old days, I'd say beautiful. Today, I don't say that. I don't even notice that. But she is. She's a great woman. But she introduced me to Tim. She said, would you do us a favor? We need it so badly in the state. The state is getting hit from so many ways. We have this incompetent governor named Evers. You can't call him Evers, I guess. Evers. And we have somebody that's incredible. And, you know, it takes a lot of courage to do what he's doing. It took courage to do what I'm doing, I can tell you. Tim, enjoy your life, Tim. But it takes a lot of courage. But he's the real deal. You know, under my administration, Tim served on my infrastructure task force. I can't think of a better guy than that. He's the biggest in the world. He helped us build the Keystone XL pipeline before Biden shut it down. Can you imagine that? And even gave the experts some real help on the border wall, showing them how to do it, how to get it done, because we built hundreds and hundreds of miles, and he was so helpful in explaining what to do and the best way to do it. As your governor, Tim will crack down on violent crime, and he won't play games. He will fight to lower soaring energy costs, create jobs, and guarantee free and fair election. Tim has always, the elections will be free and fair. Tim will always defend your Second Amendment, and he'll ensure that Wisconsin never closes schools or locks down businesses ever again. You were called lockdown state. You and the governor of Michigan, how about her? The only one she didn't lock down was her husband. It's true. He went boating. He would be boating in the middle of the lake. Nobody else was allowed, but he was boating. Oh, he paid a big price. Can you imagine that night when he came in, when he's front page on every paper, and he says, I'm sorry, darling. Don't you ever do that again. You're killing me. Tim's opponent in the primary is Rebecca Kleefisch, a career politician and a political insider. I've known her for a long time. She's the hand-picked candidate of the failed establishment, the rhinos, and the Washington swamp, and she's running a campaign of falsehoods and lies. Kleefisch complains about lobbyists, but her husband is one of the biggest lobbyists in a place called Madison. You know Madison. As lieutenant governor, she went to China begging for business from Chinese Communist Party and the disastrous Wisconsin Election Commission. This commission is a disaster, was created on her watch. Most of all, Rebecca Kleefisch does not have what it takes to beat Tony Evers. Tony Evers is close to incompetent, but he's going to win if he runs against Rebecca. She already lost to him in 2018. Tim Michels will win the primary. He'll win it easily. And in November, he's going to win the election. So I just like to ask, I know he was up, and, you know, we had horrible weather leaving from the New York area. It was horrible. And I passed on the word that global warming will not stop us from going to Wisconsin. You know, it started off, it was drizzling just a little bit. I said, what is it? They said, sir, it's climate change. I said, it's drizzling. It's drizzling. There's a little rain. It's drizzling. Climate change. You know, they used to say global warming. They had all different names, but now they're climate change. Now, if it's warm, it's okay. Climate change. If it's cold, if it rains, if it doesn't rain, if you have drought, everything's climate change. You can't miss. They finally got it right. But I'd like to ask Tim to come on up. Please, just for a second. Tim. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, sir. All right, Wisconsin. The greatest thing that we can do is vote on Tuesday, and that is the path to getting rid of Tony Evers and getting proper leadership in the governor's office in Madison. We're going to do it together. We are very powerful. This is a great American meeting tonight. Since the founding of our country, people coming together because they're concerned about the direction of the country, because they want to vet candidates. They want to hear what candidates stand for. And I'm telling you, we are going to have election integrity here in Wisconsin. Keep going. Good. Go ahead. I told you earlier, Barbara's brother, he's a cop, he's in law enforcement. I will back the blue. I will get rid of the catch and release DAs. I'll fire them. And we are going to have law and order again in the state of Wisconsin. And the failing education that's happening here. Tony Evers, I told you hours ago, Tony Evers has been an educrat his entire career. If there's one thing in Wisconsin that should be going well, it's education. He's been a leader in education for 13 years, and education continues to decline, get worse and worse and worse. If he can't do anything good for education, he can't do anything well at all, and that's why we're going to fire him and get proper leadership in the governor's office. I'm honored to be endorsed by President Trump. And boy, I wish he was president today. They love you. They love you. Tony, Joe Biden has made such a mess of things, from the botched Afghanistan withdrawal to Biden inflation today. Tony Evers, weeks from COVID to Kenosha. When Kenosha started burning, he didn't show up for days. I am the kind of leader, I would have been there on the first night, in the first hours, working with law enforcement, working with the National Guard. And those Antifa people, they would have known they weren't going to get away with it. Businesses in Wisconsin will never burn again. So I thank you so much. I thank you so much for coming out tonight. But hey, what else is going on? What else would you rather be doing than be here with the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump?
Wow, that was a good job. That was very good. Now, he's the real deal. You're getting the real deal. You're getting somebody that's at the top of the line, and you need it to bring your state back. Also here tonight is the next state representative from Wisconsin's 63rd District. And he's very, very important. We just did it in Arizona. We had a House member, let's call him. He's called, he was the boss, and we knocked him out. I think he got like 35 hours. We knocked him out big, and you have a similar problem right here. He was the Speaker of the House in Arizona. You happen to have the Speaker of the House over here. Isn't that interesting? And we had a very good candidate in Arizona, and we have an incredible candidate right here. He's worked on this for a long time. He's just hated to see what was happening. This is not the first time. He's been after this for a long time because he couldn't stand to look at what was happening to your state. Adam Steen is running to defeat your rhino Speaker of the House, Robin Vos. Despite undeniable evidence of rigging and fraud, Speaker Voss has taken no steps to hold the Wisconsin Election Commission accountable, clean up the voter rolls, or right any of the other terrible wrongs that were identified by Justice Gableman. He identified it all. In fact, Voss said, we won't let it happen again. Well, what about 2020? They won't let it happen again. In other words, it was okay to cheat in 2020, but we won't let it happen again. He will let it happen again, but you know that. He even strongly supports unsecured drop boxes. They're totally unsecured. He also wants to have you pay a gas tax and create very expensive toll roads all over your state where you can pay tolls every time you go someplace. It would be devastating for low and middle income families, and that's why we need to fire Robin Voss and replace him with Adam Steen. Got to make sure that happens. Very important race. Adam is also endorsed by Representative Janelle Brandtjen, who is a winner. Janelle, stand up, Janelle. She's so incredible. What a great, brave woman she is, because Voss has blocked all of her efforts to secure the state's elections. He just blocks them. A lot of people think he's a Democrat, actually. Adam is a true patriot, on the other hand, devoted to making America great again. So we're joined as well. Adam, I want to just thank you. Where is Adam? Where is Adam? Man, what a job. Thank you, Adam. Look at this family. I don't believe it. That's like from a picture. If I ever need you or anything to promote a hotel, I want to use that family. They're perfect. Put them right on the... Look at this family. Wow. So, Adam, good luck. Good luck. We're with you all the way. I hope you can knock him out. He's been there a long time. He's been there a long time and not done anything. Thank you very much. Enjoy it. We're also joined by the next congressman from Wisconsin's 3rd Congressional District, Derek Van Orden. Where is Derek? Great job, Derek. You are doing fantastically. I'm hearing about it. And he's another one that doesn't stop. He is somebody that will not stop. I hear you're doing fantastically well, so good luck. Close it out. Close it out. We need you in Washington. Thank you, Derek. Great job. Thank you, and your family. Once again, the primary is this Tuesday, August 9th, so get out and vote for Derek and Tim Michaels and Adam Steen. I also need to ask you to vote for a very good friend of mine and a special man. He's one of the most respected people in the Senate. He has done an incredible job, and he'll take unpopular positions if they're right. His name is Senator Ron Johnson, so get out and vote for Ron Johnson. He's tough, he's smart, and he loves your state, and he loves our country. In addition, we're delighted to be joined this evening by some of my friends. Reince Priebus. Where's Reince? Took me years and years to learn how to pronounce his name. And he was very instrumental, along with Diane, on bringing the convention to Milwaukee. So, you know, good job. A lot of people wanted that convention. It's going to bring in $250 million, Diane, right? So that's a lot. $250 million is not bad. And Reince, you know, won more races, actually, than any RNC chairman in history. He's a very good guy and loves your state. Can't keep him away. As well as candidate for Congress in Ohio's 9th Congressional District, a man named J.R. Majewski. Do you know who that is? You know, quick story, I was in Ohio, and I'm giving a little speech in front of about 40,000, a smaller crowd, one of our smaller crowds. And I was told that there's somebody named J.R. Majewski there. They said he was a farmer. He's actually not a farmer. He's a physicist. I'd say that's a big difference, right? But what the hell? Nobody cared. But he was sort of running, but not really running. But he was trying to make a point because he's got some great points to make. And I introduced him to this massive crowd, J.R. Majewski, and the place went crazy. And he wasn't supposed to be playing in the race much. He was just doing to make a point. But there were 4 other people that were serious politicians in the race. And the next day, the numbers came out. And the winner was J.R. Majewski. How the hell did that happen, J.R.? How did that happen? Huh? Well, we love you, man. And he'd go out to these big fields and he'd carve the name Trump. And I was flying into Ohio once. I said, look at this in a wheat field. The name Trump. The letters were about 60 feet high. I was 30,000 feet up, and I said, look, there's Trump. Who did that? It was J.R. Majewski. Right? I think that's why everybody thought he was a farmer. That makes sense. I guess that's what happened, right? But we appreciate it, JR, and go win your race. You're going to win. You're going to win. People love this guy. He's great. Another man who's great, and I've known him for a long time. He's tough as hell, but he's got a big, beautiful heart. Sheriff David Clark. Here's David. And his incredible wife. What a couple. What a couple. What a couple and what a sheriff. Thank you very much. Haven't seen him in a couple of years. You look even better than you did 3 years ago. What are you doing? Explain to me what you're doing, please. Thanks a lot. Great, Sheriff. Great job. Thank you. And two people that I've slightly mentioned, but I have to have them stand up because Diane Hendricks is a special woman, one of the greatest business people in our country, and yet she's a very modest person, but she's incredible. And I'll tell you what, when she gets on your case, she doesn't stop. That phone can ring 30 times. I'll call her right back. She wants it now, sir. She is tough, and she's smart, and she loves your state. And she was really responsible, along with Reince and a few others, for getting the big convention here instead of to a lot of other places that wanted it. So if you don't mind, Diane, please stand up. Diane Hendricks. Thank you, Diane. And again, Justice Michael Gableman, for the job that you've done and the incredible strength that you've shown. And you know, Michael is endorsing Steen. How's that working, right? Michael is endorsing Adam, and that's great. He was, put there by Voss to do it in a commission. And he went back and he said, look at all this fraud. And Voss wanted nothing to do with it. That's just a terrible thing. So I want to thank you, Michael, for being here, but I want to thank you much more importantly for the job that you've done. That's an incredible report you put out, and it's a very sad report, actually. Very sad. Hundreds of thousands of votes and the fraud and abuse, but we appreciate it. Everybody here appreciates Michael Gableman. Thank you, Justice. Over 4 incredible years, we achieved more for the great state of Wisconsin than any other president, and much more than anyone thought even possible. We ended the disaster known as NAFTA. What a disaster. The worst trade deal ever made, and replaced it with the USMCA, the best trade deal ever made for our country. A massive win for Wisconsin dairy farmers, and all of those dairy farmers, they like Trump a lot all over the country. But it's a great, and I will tell you, it's Mexico and Canada, you know that, and they want to renegotiate the deal. Isn't that a good feeling? They want to renegotiate. I hope they don't do it, but unfortunately, this administration is already starting to try and renegotiate the deal to make it better for them. They had us for many years in this NAFTA deal. It was horrible. Nobody wanted to renegotiate it then, but now they want to renegotiate. Don't do it. To defend Wisconsin workers, I withdrew from the terrible Trans-Pacific Partnership, would have ruined your manufacturing businesses. And I imposed strict tariffs on foreign aluminum and steel, and it saved our steel industry, and it saved our aluminum industry. And now I hear Biden wants to take the tariffs off of China. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. We never got 10 cents. Not one president took in 10 cents from China. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars, and now they want to stop. They want to not charge China. When the left-wing mobs came out to sack the city of Kenosha 2 years ago this month, you remember, I was here. I sent the National Guard, and we saved the city from total destruction. They would have destroyed this city. That's why I have a very strong feeling for Kenosha. It was a great success, and the Guard did a fantastic job. And if I had to wait for the governor, forget it. It would have been a long wait. And as part of my administration's colossal rebuilding of the U.S. military, we delivered major contracts for Wisconsin workers to build brand new warships, helping save the historic shipyard, Marinette Marine. You know that, right? And they're beautiful. They're beautiful. They look like yachts with lots of guns on them, actually. No, they're beautiful. Marinette, they're doing a fantastic job, but I gave them the contract. It was like $6 billion. Other people wanted. I said, nope, that's going to Wisconsin. I took a little heat, but it's worked out good because I hear they're doing a great job, right? Are they doing a good job, Tim? We fought for Wisconsin, and we won for Wisconsin, and with a big victory for Republicans this November, we will fight and win for Wisconsin once again and win like never before. One of the first things we'll do is to stand up for parents' rights. Can you believe I have to even say that? Because the Democrats are. Can you believe how stupid does that sound? We're going to stand up for parents' rights. They're standing against parents. Who would think that this would be a part of a platform? We are going to stand up for the parents. It's crazy. What's happening in this world and to our country is just crazy. It's time to finally and completely smash the radical left's corrupt educational cartel. Our children are captives to unhinged Marxist educators. Where do they come from? Who are pushing inappropriate sexual, racial, and political material on our children from the youngest possible age. And the parents are sitting home thinking your children are being beautifully educated, and they're listening to these Marxists and these crazy people. At long last, every parent in America must be empowered to opt out of this indoctrination and send their child to the public, private, charter, religious, or home school of their choice. Have to be able to do it. In addition, we will get critical race theory, a disaster, out of our schools, out of our military. I already took it out of our military, our schools. They put it back immediately, first day in office, and out of every part of our federal, state, and local governments. I had it gone. And when the election results came in, the first thing they did was put it back in. Disgraceful. We did win by a lot. We will also keep men out of women's sports, if that's okay. Can you believe it? No, can you believe it? Men are, you know the stories of the swimmers. Should I tell it? You probably heard it. Should I or not? So we have this young female swimmer, great, really great. She's a champion, and she wants to break the United States record in some kind of an event. And she needed about 1/8 of a second. And she was standing on the line, and she's ready to go. And I tell the story. It's a crazy story. You know, I'm not supposed to be saying, because it's politically incorrect to talk about it. It's politically incorrect. They don't want to talk. They don't want to mention it. I don't understand why it's politically incorrect, but I think that's why I got elected in the first place. But this beautiful athlete wants to break 1/8 of a second. If she can do that, she's going to be so proud. And, you know, she looks down to the left and she sees these beautiful young women that she's been competing with for many years. For 10 years, she knows them all. They sort of grow up, you know, it's that perfect triangle at the top. And she sees them, and she looks down to the right, and she sees them, and she's so happy to see them. And then she looks to her right over here, right next to her, there's this giant person. And she didn't really know who it was. And he was just given the Female Athlete of the Year, by the way. Did you know that? No, think of this. Is our country going to hell or what? Okay. Nothing wrong. Look, I'm sure a very nice person. But he had a wingspan like this. He was giant. She's looking up. She said, oh, my God, he looks like he could be trouble, or she looks like. And It was quite scary, but she figured she's the best, so she's going to win. Well, she was badly injured in that race. You know why? Windburn. He went by her so fast that she got tremendous windburn. She's still trying to recover, actually. And she didn't break the record, but he did. He won by 38 seconds. Not 1/8 of it. She wanted to win by 1/8 of a second. Now, this is really doing harm to the women's movement. This is a ridiculous thing. The best of all, though, is the weightlifter. You heard about the weightlifter. So a woman weightlifter, I think it was 218 pounds. I'm not sure. I got to be careful because the fake news will say it wasn't 218. It was 236. It's terrible. Whatever the hell it was, she wanted to break the record by 1/8 of an ounce on each side. So they have these big, big heavy barbells, and they have on the sides all the weights, right? And they put this little tiny bit here, little tiny bit there. And she went over, she was so proud. And she stood over those weights and she went like this. She was proud. Her mother and father were screaming. They were so proud of their. They said, "Girl, I'm so proud of my girl," he said. And she got over the weights and she lifted them up. Got them up to here. And then, no, not enough. She couldn't make it. She didn't make it. Just missed. Just very close, actually. But she missed. And then this person in a male's body. That's what you say, because they call it a person in a male's body happened to come up. And they said, "Have you lifted before?" He said, "Not much. I don't know too much about it." And he stood over the weights. He looked. He wins. He could have lifted another 200 pounds over his head. We are hurting women very badly. I said the other day I would be the greatest coach in the history of women's basketball. I would go to LeBron. I don't like LeBron James at all. I think he's a terrible person. Terrible. But I would go to LeBron James despite my dislike. And I would say, "LeBron, have you ever thought of being a woman? Because I'm a coach. And I want you on my team, and I want to get a few other guys, perhaps from the NBA, to be on my team. I would have the greatest team in history. They would never lose. They would win every game by 70, 80, maybe 90 points. It's crazy. What they're doing to women's sports is a disgrace. It's a disgrace. And it's very unfair to a thing called the women's movement, because I'm a big believer in the women's movement, and it's a very unfair thing. So whether it's politically appropriate or not, I'll say it, it's a disgrace what they're doing. How stupid is it? No teacher should ever be allowed to teach transgender to our children without parental consent. What they're doing to your children, essentially behind your back, is crazy. It's hard to believe, when you're up here and you're doing this and you're looking at different notes and you're going and, who would think that we'd be talking about this? Let's say 10 years ago, 6, 7 years ago. Who would ever believe we're even talking about this? When Republicans retake Congress, they also need to crack down hard on Big Pharma for giving puberty blockers and other dangerous drugs to mutilate our youth. Puberty blockers. Do you think we'd be talking about puberty blockers 7, 8, 9 years ago? We will save our kids, and every federal bureaucrat who is complicit in this travesty needs to immediately be fired. You're fired. You got to be fired or worse. Another one of the highest priorities for the Republican Congress will be to stop left-wing censorship and restore free speech in America. We don't have free speech. We don't have it. And by the way, go out now and sign up for Truth Social. We're getting the word out. It's amazing. It's hot, and it's much, much, much better than Twitter. Twitter's suffering greatly lately. Do you notice that? Isn't that too bad? The radical left Democrat Party is not a 50% party within our country. They're against God, guns, oil, law enforcement, voter ID, tax cuts, regulation cuts, the Constitution. They're against our founding fathers. But actually, other than that, they're quite nice, aren't they? The way they win is to cheat in elections. I really believe that. They cheat in elections. They're professionals. If they devoted that genius to fighting for us against foreign countries, we wouldn't be ripped off by every country in the world. Everywhere the Republican Party has the chance, we must pass critical election integrity reforms, including universal voter ID, citizenship confirmation. Can you believe that? We want to prove that you're a citizen. They don't want to allow that. We want to get rid of fake drop boxes. They're a fake. You know, if you're a citizen and you want to contribute to your local congressman or senator, if you as a husband and wife give more than $5,600, they put you in jail. And yet, Zuckerbucks gave 500, I guess, million. 417 they have no idea. But think of it. If you give $200 too much, they put you in jail. This guy gave, they say, $417 million. Zuckerberg. No, but how sick is it? And that money's being spread all over the place. It's a disgrace. And it's focused on Democrat areas. You know, they put a little bit in Republican areas so they could say we did both, but they didn't. It's a disgrace. No private money pouring into local election offices should be allowed. And ultimately, we need same-day voting with only paper ballots. That's what we need. Only paper ballots. So France just had an election. You know, it's a country, big country. 35 million people voted. It was paper ballots, and it was a same-day election. One day, 10 o'clock in the evening, you listen to the results. And my friend Macron won, and a young lady lost, and she wasn't complaining. She lost. But they had paper ballots, and they had same-day voting. And you don't use mail-in ballots except for people that are very sick or military that's very far away. Otherwise, they vote here. And we would have great elections once again, and elections that we could count on. Not elections where Kari Lake is waiting for days and days for the result. We have an election going on in the state of Washington, a congressional election. They think they should have the result over the next few days. Think of it. It's a relatively small number of people, and it's going to be weeks, and they have no idea. And you know, when it takes that long, what's happening behind the scenes? We're just 3 months away from the most important midterm election in American history, and we need a landslide so big that the radical left cannot rig it or steal it. This is the year we're going to take back the House. We're going to take back the Senate. And we're going to take back America. And in 2024, most importantly, we are going to take back our magnificent White House. We're going to take it back. But first, we have to secure a massive victory for Tim Michels in this primary. So go get your friends, go get your family, and go get out to vote. That's going to be a very important election. So, Tim, good luck, right? Go and get them. Together, we will fight for more jobs for Wisconsin families, fair trade for Wisconsin workers, and more Wisconsin factories forging more products stamped with that beautiful phrase, made in the USA. We will shut down Biden's border disaster, reinstitute our strong Remain in Mexico policy, strengthen the patriots of ICE and Border Patrol. We will again end catch and release, one of the dumbest programs ever. We will end chain migration. We will end the visa lottery, and we will clamp down on Illegal immigration, just like we did less than 2 years ago when we set record lows on illegal immigration and drugs. We will stop the crime wave in Democrat-run cities. We will give our police the power they need and the respect they deserve. And we will not take immunity protection away from our police. We will restore law and order in America. We will hold China accountable for unleashing the virus upon the world. We will protect innocent life. We will defend our Constitution. We will defend our totally under siege Second Amendment. It's under siege. They want to take your guns away. The bad guys can have guns because they're not giving them up. So the bad guys will have the guns. And we will proudly uphold the Judeo-Christian values and principles of our nation's founder. We will restore patriotic education to our schools, and we will teach our children to love their country, honor our history, and to always respect our great American flag. And in conclusion, our MAGA movement, the greatest movement of all times in this country and in many other countries, no matter where you go, it's the greatest political movement of all time, probably the greatest movement of all time. And you know, the fake news is back there, a lot of them. They never even question me on it. You know, if I say something that's slightly off, Diane, they say, oh, that was, they've never questioned. I say it's the greatest political movement of all time in our country and beyond our country too, but in our country. And they never question me, the fake news. Together we are standing up against some of the most menacing forces, entrenched interests, and vicious opponents our people have ever seen. A friend of mine recently said that I was the most persecuted person in the history of our country. So, when I thought about it, I actually felt that he may very well be right. We had a Russia scam that was covered religiously by the media, even though they knew it was fake news. They knew it. They knew it all. It all came out. It turned out to be a concocted fairy tale made up by crooked Hillary Clinton, the Democrats, and a sleazeball writer named Christopher Steele, and a coordinated effort with, of all places, you know who they worked with? Russia. They worked with Russia. Do you believe this? This could only happen to me. Then I had impeachment hoax number 1. Impeachment hoax number 2, and the Mueller investigation resulting in a verdict after 2 years of no collusion. They said Trump didn't collude with Russia. Who has been through anything like this? Seriously. Certainly no politician, and definitely no president. All of this while I was doing so much as president, including creating the most secure border in American history, record tax and regulatory cuts, $1.87 gasoline, no inflation, low interest rates, record growth in real wages, greatest economy in history, rebuilding our entire military, the historic Abraham Accords, bringing peace to the Middle East, Jerusalem, the capital of Israel, and so much more. Now we have the January 6th Unselect Committee of Political Hacks and Thugs. And these are the very same people who perpetrated the lies that I was an agent of Russia, like Shifty Adam Schiff, Watermelon Head, and others who are standing before the same microphones that they have for the last 5 years and doing the exact same thing with January 6th as they did with all the previous assaults on our country and on my family. They assaulted my family. Think of it. Adam Schiff made up, along with Crooked Hillary and others, they made up the Russia hoax. And then I watched Adam Schiff stand at the microphones, so sanctimonious, and say, Donald Trump Jr. should go to jail for what he did with Russia. Now think of that. He made up a story, a fake story, and he's suggesting that my son, a good kid, go to jail on a story that he knows is fake. What do you think about that, Diane? Not good, right? So where does it stop? Where does it end? It probably doesn't, probably not stop, because despite outside dangers, we have great outside dangers with China and Russia. And if we're not careful, we're going to end up in World War III, I can tell you that, because we're not handling anything right. Our biggest threat remains the sick, sinister, and evil people from within our country, the same people that we're talking about. Never forget, everything this corrupt establishment is doing to me is all about preserving their power and control over the American people, you. They want to damage me in any form so I can no longer represent the hardworking citizens of our country. And based on the poll numbers, they're going to have to start doing it, because we're leading everybody, Republicans and Democrats. So I guess that's their only option. And the fake news media, these people right back there, a lot of them, is totally complicit in what's happening. If I renounce my beliefs, if I agreed to stay silent, if I stayed home, or if I stayed in my basement like Joe Biden did, the persecution would stop immediately. That's what they want me to do, and it would all be very nice. I'd have a very nice life. But I can't do that, and I will not do that, because I love our country and the people of our country. I love them so much. And I'm not doing this for me, because I had a very good and luxurious life before entering the wonderful world of politics. I'm doing this for you, and it's my honor to do it. Because if I don't do it, I believe our nation is doomed to become another Venezuela, or become another Soviet Union, or become a very large-scale version of Cuba, where all is lost and there is no hope whatsoever. No matter how big or powerful the corrupt radicals we are fighting against may be, you must never forget, this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you. Belongs to you. This is your home. This is your heritage. And our American liberty is your God-given right. From Madison till Milwaukee, from Janesville to Green Bay, from Kenosha to right here in Waukesha, we inherit the legacy of Wisconsin patriots who braved incredible dangers to carve out life in a vast and wild but wonderful frontier. We stand on the shoulders of American giants who crossed the oceans, explored the continent, settled the Great Plains, won the Wild West, laid down the railroads, raised up the incredible, beautiful, great skyscrapers, conquered the skies, fought 2 world wars and won, defeated fascism and communism, mastered spaceflight, and made America into the single greatest nation in the history of the world. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a nation that is failing. We are a nation that is hurting so badly. We are a nation that has the highest inflation in over 40 years, and where the stock market just finished the worst first half of the year since 1872. Think of that. Likewise, we are a nation that has the highest energy costs in its history. We are no longer energy independent or energy dominant as we were just 2 short years ago. We are a nation that is begging Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, and many others for oil. Please, please, please help us, Joe Biden says. Yet we have more liquid gold under our feet than any other country in the world. We are a nation that is consumed by the radical left's Green New Deal, yet everyone knows that the Green New Deal will lead to our destruction. We are a nation that surrendered in Afghanistan, leaving behind dead soldiers, American citizens, and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment anywhere in the world. We are a nation that allowed Russia to devastate a country, Ukraine, killing hundreds of thousands of people, and it will only get worse. It would never have happened with me as your commander-in-chief. And it didn't. It didn't happen. Never happened. And China, with Taiwan, is next. Just watch what's happening. You see it happening before you. How stupid it was that she went. We are a nation that has weaponized its law enforcement like never before against the opposing political party. They send their law enforcement out to get them because they can't beat us at the polls, so let's lock them up. We are a nation that no longer has a free and fair press. Fake news is all you get, and they are the enemy of the people. We are a nation where free speech is no longer allowed, where crime is rampant like never before, where the economy has been collapsing, where more people died of COVID in 2021 than in 2020. We are a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon, which they are incredibly being allowed to do right now as we speak, and China to use the trillions and trillions of dollars it has taken from past administrations to build a military to more than rival our own. And just 2 years ago, we had Iran, China, Russia, and North Korea in check. They weren't going to do a thing against the United States. They weren't going to hurt us. Everyone knows that's true. Even the radical left Democrats say it. They weren't going to do a thing against the United States when Trump was president. And perhaps most importantly, we are a nation that is no longer respected or listened to around the world. We are a nation that in many ways has become a joke. And we are a nation that is hostile to liberty, freedom, and faith. We are a nation that allows men to play sports on women's teams and dominate those teams. We are a nation whose airports are a disaster, whose flights never leave on time, and whose passengers are stranded all over our country. We are a nation whose economy is floundering, whose stores are not stocked, whose deliveries are not coming, and whose educational system is ranked at the bottom of every list. But we are not going to let this continue. 2 years ago, we had the greatest country that we've ever had. We were doing better than we had ever done. And soon we will have greatness again. We will have greatness again. It was hardworking patriots like you who built this country. And it is hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country. We will stand up to the radical left lunatics and rhinos, and we will fight for America like no one has ever fought before. There is no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot meet. There is no victory we cannot have. We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never, ever, ever back down. As long as we are confident and united, the tyrants we are fighting do not stand even a little chance. Because we are Americans, and Americans kneel to God and to God alone. My fellow citizens, this incredible journey we are on together has only just begun, and it is time to start talking about greatness for our country again. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious American nation. So with the help of everyone here today and the citizens all across our land, we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Wisconsin. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.